Hello. In this episode, we're going to focus on using a wall to engage isometrically the front of our legs and also some circulatory and slightly restorative at the end. Not very clear, but we're going to try it anyways and see what happens. You'll need a bunch of props. You're going to need a yoga strap or something that does not stretch that you can adjust the diameter of it. I recommend a balloon, but a yoga block is equally fine, or a small rolled up towel. A couple small towels would be helpful as well to help you be more comfortable. You need a wall and a surface to rest on. I'm going to be on a mat. You don't have a mat, that's okay, you know, carpet. But you want to be laying on your back on this surface, so choose something that you can do that kind of thing on. You may put some cushions down for yourself. Now the setup is a little bit unusual, all right? So just stick with me here. All right, let me see if I can back up. All right, now I'm going to take my balloon between my inner edges of my feet. You can also use a yoga block. Either is fine. Right? Now, I'm going to take my yoga strap and I have a loop in it already. I'm going to take that loop around the balls of my feet and the tops of my feet. So it also goes around the balloon. I'm going to pull my toes back and gently tighten that to a place where it's pulling my feet together against the balloon, but not excruciating. Right? Things to watch out for is that the soles of the feet face each other. You don't want that so much. Right? You also want to make sure that you can flex your feet and pull your toes back deeply. So if the strap is too low towards your midfoot or heel, it will not be as supportive as it would be otherwise. So really try and get the strap around to the top of your foot, where the ball of your feet are, and towards your toes, more around there. Right? If it's just on your toes, that won't be supportive enough. Now the next part of this series is actually the most difficult part. Keeping yourself like that. You're going to get next to the wall if you're not already. Now, be careful, lay on your back and get your legs to be up on the wall. You don't have to be very close to the wall because I want you to think about the arch to your lower back. So the further your hips are away from the wall, the less intense and the less stress you're going to be to try to achieve that little arch to your lower back. If the back of your hips, I'll show you this, are touching the wall, it's going to be a lot harder for most people to have a gentle arch to their lower back. Right? So the goal here is legs on the wall with a small arch to your lower back. The goal is not thigh bones perpendicular like a column or something like that. This is not the goal. Right? So set yourself up so you can find a small arch to your lower back. If you don't know what that feels, you can take a small towel here and pass it behind your waist. Right? And that is where your lower back is. So you have the back of the ribs above the towel, the back of the hips below the towel. Feel how the back of the ribs and back of the hips are pressing on the floor. Your lower back should not be pressing on the towel with the same amount of force or anywhere near that amount of pressure. Scooch away from the wall with your legs up the wall until you feel a place where there's less pressure on the towel than there is on the ribs above or the back of the hips below. And that should be a good spot for you. You can keep the towel there, it's good. You can also use another towel behind your head. You can always fold that towel up to make it more comfortable. You can have so many props, right? You can also use a pillow, right? Whatever makes your head and neck more comfortable. Feel free to change that as we go along. Arms are by your side. Now, you can always hit pause, get all that together for yourself, and join me when you're ready. You can always hit pause, find that for yourself, and then come back to this. We're going to talk about some other thing once you've got those basics down. Now, once you've got that, make sure your legs are in line with the body. So your legs should not be over to one side or the other. They should be right in line with your whole body as much as you can. Right? You should be able to pull your toes back quite strongly. Excuse me 1 second here. Oh, I just destroyed my whole thing. Little laptop. Had to get my phone. All right. You should be able to flex your ankles quite strongly without your knees and toes ripping out. The reason we have our feet bound up like this is it just is easier to hold your legs in this alignment without the knees rotating out so much, right? The knees are not going to be perfectly facing the ceiling because everyone's got a different foot orientation, ankle orientation relative to their knee, but it's close enough, right? So find that place you can flex your feet deeply so the soles of feet do not face each other. Now your knees. You're trying to have straight knees here without a feeling of pain or stress or also inactivity, right? So if your legs are super straight and all you feel is the back of your knee and it's really intense, don't go that far. Have a little bend to those knees and that's fine. You can also just slide your feet down a bit more and have your knees be a little bit less bent, right? The further your feet are pressing away from you, the more you're encouraging that knee to be straight. And it can be perfectly straight as long as you're comfortable doing that. All right, now we are going to do 2 minutes on and 2 minutes off of ankle and thigh isometric contraction. That means for 2 minutes, we're going to pull our toes back and really pull your kneecaps up towards your hip bone, which hopefully will get you to contract the front of your thigh. You can think of really straightening your knee, pushing the back of the knee towards the wall floor, pulling your toes back, pulling your kneecaps up towards your hip bones to really activate the front, the whole front of your leg. That's the focus here. You want to do that activation without putting a ton of pressure onto the towel where your lower back is. You want to have your lower back, you can relax your feet and stuff if you were trying with me. You want to have your lower back be in a natural position of that small arch. Just like the arch you have to the back of your neck, you want the same sort of arch to your lower back. It's just not as big, not as grand, right? So I'll do 2 minutes on, 2 minutes off, 4 rounds of that, and it is harder than it sounds. Are you ready? All right, I'm going to hit the timer and count down here in three counts. 3, 2, 1, 2 minutes. Here we go. Pull your toes back, pull the kneecaps up, straighten your knees, breathe. Think of relaxing your shoulders here. Easy. It might burn a bit. If you can't make the 2 minutes, don't judge yourself so harshly. It's all right. Take note of the time you made it to and make that your personal goal. Right? 2 minutes is a long time to be holding this isometric contraction. If it's too hard, but you don't want to release a little bit, and then come back into the intensity as well. Breathe. And again, it's really hard to pull your toes back and fire up your thigh muscles for 2 minutes consistently. The front of our ankles tend to be on the weaker side as a culture because our shoes, all shoes, tend to have a heel lift in where the heel is. Even your sneakers, unless they're specifically designed not to, most likely have a higher heel than they do where your forefoot is. That biases our ankle foot to be in not the most dorsiflex position, or not like this is here. Your feet are never in this throughout the day, but this range of motion, this flexing your ankles, is really integral to your long-term health and well-being. You want to be able to really flex your feet to the nth degree of your personal capacity with great strength and accuracy and also control. Right. Now we only got 30 more seconds. See, I just talk. Make sure you feel your thigh muscles here. So pull those kneecaps up. Just contract your quads. You can touch your thigh muscle. And can you contract them more if you're not quite sure what it's doing there? Easy. Keep pulling your toes back. You may feel that one ankle burns more than the other, and that is okay. Relaxing your shoulders here. Breathe. Make sure you're comfortable. Keep pulling those toes back actively. Keep firing up those thigh muscles. Easy. You might find that your neck, and rest. 2 minutes rest. You may find that your neck suddenly has tension when you're trying to contract other parts of your body. That's natural. What I recommend that you do is A, good job acknowledging that you have some shoulder and neck tension there. To address it, you can say, okay, I can't quite go to this intensity level. So back off the level of contraction in your thighs and ankles until you can feel some calmness to your shoulder girdle, and then stay there for a while and slowly increase the intensity if you can over time. Pay attention to not grinding your jaw or taking attention to your neck or shoulders here. Your legs are just staying straight, like this is the restorative part of our practice. Isn't that nice? You can try pointing your toes the other way if you want to, but I just want to relax mine completely and not think about it so much. Right? So this position is great to help alleviate and encourage circulation through your lower limbs, specifically to your toes and feet and ankles, but your whole lower leg in general. If you think about it, your heart pumps your blood all the way through your body all day long while you're sleeping nonstop. The hardest part is through your lower extremity to get that blood to return. But also, not just blood, but also other fluids that you have in your body, your lymph system, and things like that. So it's helpful to have your legs up on a wall, and this engaging of the musculature will help all of the circulatory systems that you have down there really engage and get things moving a bit more freely for yourself. It's a great thing to do. It also just feels nice. Also, I find that people have a hard time straightening their knees to a level that feels comfortable. It's great to be able to straighten your knee. You do need a straight knee at some points in life. And if you lose the capacity to have a straight knee, that compromised short, soft tissue fibers will have long-term effects in other parts of your body. That inability to move will transfer over time to other parts of your body. Here's 2 minutes. All right. Now, here we go. Round 2 of 4. Flex your feet. Pull your kneecaps up towards your top of your thigh, or just contract your thigh muscles a lot. Easy, and just keep that going. Again, take breaks as you need to. Really pull your toes back. You can think of pulling your toenails back to touch the top of your thigh bone, even if it's just in your mind, and really send the back of your heel up the wall continuously. So you have that loop of heels going up the wall, toes going down the wall towards your shin, thighs, or you. Keep being mindful of relaxing your shoulders. You may find that over time your head, your chin, and nose drift away from your thighs and breastbone. You can just pull your head back away from the wall a little bit more so your face faces the ceiling more. You can also give yourself a higher or more dense towel, or try the pillow. You want to make sure that you're not slowly increasing the arch to the back of your neck as we go along here. Likewise for your lower back, you feel like suddenly you have a lot more space to your lower back. Maybe you need to come a little further away from the wall because maybe you're trying too hard to keep that lower back in the arch. It should be something that just sets itself, set it and forget it. You shouldn't have to focus on it too much, right? You're just paying attention to the back of your hips below the towel, and the back of the ribs above the towel have more pressure than your lower back does on the towel itself. And that can be hard to distinguish, so to help you there, you can try pressing your lower back into the towel and feel that, and then release the pressure to the lower towel. You should be able to release the pressure on the towel easily, right? You should be able to put pressure on that towel over behind your waist and then release it and easily. If you can't do that, back up away from the wall a little more until that becomes more achievable for you. Now, other things that happen here besides the joy of feeling your ankles and thighs, as you may feel your shoulders slowly creep forward. That was 2 minutes already. And relax. You may feel that your shoulders slowly creep forward here. To alleviate that, you can try elevating your arms from your elbow to your forearm on other towels, or if your pillows are on the same side, same height, that's something you can do there. That will help your shoulder not be pulled forward towards your breastbone and throat, right? You can also try having your palms face the sky and arms a little further apart as well. Palms facing up, arms out to the side. You can go as wide as you need to, right? Both arms as wide as you need to, until you have comfort. Now, make sure your ankles are not slowly, the bottoms of your feet aren't being slowly pulled to face each other. You are just relaxing here, but you're not letting your ankles move so that the bottoms of your feet face each other. You're just relaxing. And then we've been here for quite some time already. You may be uncomfortable with how long we've been here. If that's you, take note of the time, and that's your new goal to work towards, right? You don't ever have to increase the time that you're here, but you can practice more to that time and see if it does many positive effects for you. Maybe this helps you acknowledge that flexing your ankle is something you can work on effectively for yourself. It will really help walking. It will really help standing. It will help balancing. It will transfer to so many other parts of your life, it's not even funny. The ability and strength to flex our ankles really is a foundational component of long-term health and well-being, and so many people struggle with flexing their ankles, right? And again, you can always hit pause. How much longer do we have? 18 seconds. Now we've got
2 more rounds to go. Again, if you're done, you're done. Don't worry. If you want to take more than a 2-minute break, take more than 2 minutes, then come back and join ready, right? This is our second to last round of actively contracting our thighs and pulling our toes back and pushing our heels up the wall. Here we go. Another round. Flexing your ankles, contracting your thigh muscles. Think of pressing the back of the knee gently towards the wall, unless that doesn't feel good to you. If that doesn't feel good, let your feet slide down a little bit, keep your knees bent, and you can still contract your thigh muscles with your knees being bent, right? The knees don't have to be perfectly straight to contract your thigh muscles. They will contract in any range, in any position of the knee, hopefully. But the knee straight has other benefits besides straightening your knee, helps circulation to the back of your leg specifically, but the whole leg in general. Really pull your toes back. People also tend to forget about their pinky toes being pulled back. If you really take your mind, I know, to the outer pinky toes on both sides and pull those pinky toes back towards you, that will help flex your foot and ankle and toes quite a bit. Right? So it's not just your big toes that you're trying to activate. You're also trying to activate all toes, big toes, middle toes, and pinky toes. And I know it could burn a little bit, and that's okay. And again, if it's too intense, ease off the intensity level. Don't go so hard the whole time. Do think, have I forgotten about my quad muscles? Or is one thigh firing more than the other one? Can you take them both towards the same level as much as you can without pressing your lower back against that towel? Just let the back of your hips rest on the floor and a small natural arch to your lower back. You may be discovering that you were too close to the wall in the beginning and now you want to back up away from the wall more to make it easier to maintain that lower back without it being so effortful. Conversely, you can also come closer to the wall, see what that feels like for you. Maybe you don't feel enough challenge to your placement, you want to be more intense, and you can always come closer to the wall and do what works best for you, right? It's most important that you breathe, think about how you feel, and what the goals are. Again, I think a lot of people think that strength is a lot of big or small movements. This is a very strengthening exercise, as you can feel, and very beneficial. And rest. But yeah, the movements aren't visually very striking. It looks like we're just laying here not doing anything, but if you're doing it along with me, you can feel that you're actually doing a lot. Right. Now, I forgot to mention, when you put the band or the strap around your feet, you may not like it after a while. Feel free during this rest period or any time to adjust the band. You may find you want to wrap a towel around your feet and then the band around the towel to help soften the cotton or polyester fibers of the strap that you're using against your skin. You may not like that. You can also do this with shoes as well, as long as you don't mind your shoes being on your wall and any kind of marring there. Right, that's fine as well. I acknowledge freely that the strap may not be comfortable for here for the entire duration of people, right? So feel free to adjust as you need to. Really enjoy this period of not using your ankles and thighs because we have our last round coming up very shortly. And then we'll have a little rest period after that, and then we'll walk around and see how we feel about contracting the front of our leg in this isometric pattern. They published a study years ago, but also gained more traction recently about isometric exercise being great for your blood pressure. They only mentioned 2 specific rather intense exercises, but that doesn't mean the other isometric exercises do not have benefit for decreasing your blood pressure. There's just been no studies on that. My gut impression would say that it is all isometric exercises, not just the 2 they used in the study, but all of them have good benefit for decreasing your blood pressure, potentially because you are doing the same principle. You're working isometrically through specific parts of your body, and that will affect your blood pressure potentially positively over the long term, so long as you practice consistently. Also, once you do this kind of practice, stuff like they did in the study, like the wall squat, will be potentially much more achievable for you. It will be much more in your realm of experience and maybe not so far. Here we go. Flexing those ankles, pulling your knees and toes back. Really contract those thigh muscles. Easy. Straighten those knees as far as you have comfort. Make sure you have a small supportive arch to your lower back. No attention to your neck, head, shoulders. Just staying here. We're actively pulling those toes back quite strongly. Sending the back of the heel bone up the wall. Pulling those kneecaps up to you. Breathe. And while it may be uncomfortable, maybe this last round it doesn't feel as potentially as intense as it did that very first round because it was like a cold water to your face. Now you've acclimated maybe to some of these feelings and they're not so foreign towards you. And you can feel that, oh, I actually can do this. It may not be something that I dream about doing every day, all day long, but it is in your own capacity, and that's a great feeling, right? Really keep engaging those thigh muscles, re-engage them when you forget about them, and really pull those toes and toenails back to you. And again, you're gonna feel how when you try and contract your thigh muscles, maybe you press your lower back into the floor. Try not to. Right? Use that towel as a gentle reminder that your lower back is just not pressing into the floor as much as the back of the hips or the back of your lower ribs. Also contracting your thighs and ankle flexors and toe flexors. You may feel like you're having tension up to your upper quadrant as well. If that's you, if you can release tension without doing anything else, that's great. If you need to decrease tension to your legs and ankles to decrease tension to your neck and shoulders, that's something to contemplate as well. You don't have to go to the level 100 for the full benefit of the exercise, right? You can do a little less so long as you don't have tension in unwanted areas of your body, right? That's never a good thing to invite unwanted tension unnecessarily because it tends to creep in as a pattern then through other activities and other parts of your life, and then it can become rather insidious to moving naturally. And that was it. Now we're just going to rest here for 2 more minutes. Easy, just rest. Again, you can wiggle your toes. You made it through. You might be feeling that the back of your knee feels numb or pins and needles. If that's you, again, slide your heels down the wall a bit more and give your knees a little bend so you get away from that numbness or tingling sensation. You may feel tingling sensations all the way up into the back of your hips, and that's you again. Bend your knees just to change the shape of the ankle of those joints for yourself, right? So here we're not actually flexing our feet. It's just the last run of relaxing with our legs up the wall, gently encouraging the circulation. Now, we're going to talk about dismounting here, coming out of this position. We're going to slowly encourage ourselves to walk the heels down the wall at the 2-minute place. We're not just going to hug our knees to our chest, even though that may be your inclination. So we can start by, if you can, remove that towel from behind your lower back. Easy. And just be here and acknowledge that, oh, I really can feel that space between my lower ribs and the back of my hips. There is a space there right where your waist is, and that's where your lower back is. It's great to acknowledge where your lower back is and what a natural arch feels like. Because so much movement happens in an exercise practice where your lower back is either moving or not moving, and it's great to know, is this an arch, is this not an arch? Where is my lower back? What is it doing right now? That's great information to have for yourself. It may seem inconsequential because it's not a topic of hot debate, but in my experience, it really is quite deeply foundational to understand A, where your lower back is, B, what it feels like to move it, C, understand what an arch feels like, a natural arch to you, not a big arch, not a forceful arch, but just a natural arch, just like the arch you have to the back of your neck, right? Those things are really, really helpful. All right, now we talked about dismounting, so gently, easy, start to bend your knees towards you. Easy, start to slide the heels towards you a little bit. Easy breathing. Just slowly breathe. And then stop about halfway. Easy breathe. Now, if your feet are killing you, feel free to wiggle your toes here. We're almost done. Breathe deeply. To dismount from here, you have many options. You can hug your knees to your chest, great for that. You can also roll over to your side and support your head on the pillow or your bottom arm and rest for a little bit. Easy. While you're there, you can try and just release your feet from their bound position, if you can, without using your hands. And you can just practice wiggling your toes here. Breathe. Encourage. You can point and flex as well. And then just let them rest once they can acknowledge their freedom. Right? That feels so good. And then when you're ready, you can gently push your body up and out of there. Excellent job. Now, I recommend
you try walking, just take a little walk around your room, wherever you are, and see if your walking pattern feels more energized by doing this. You're definitely going to feel a difference, right? Because when you walk, the leg that goes forward, that ankle is actually flexing. And we often lose that strength as we age, but also just if you don't practice ankle flexion, that pattern gets lost rather quickly, regardless of age, generally. I hope you enjoyed this. My name is Eric. I look forward to getting stronger with you in the future. You are in good health. Take care.